Today, let us talk about the movie titled Masters of the Universe. If you grew up in the 80s, you probably remember He-Man from the cartoon, or maybe from that first live-action attempt back in 1987 with Dolph Lundgren. This new version is not a continuation of that. It is a full reboot, and it takes the world a little more seriously than the old toy commercials ever could. Before we get into who plays who, it helps to know what this version is actually trying to do. It is not just muscles and swords for the sake of it. At its center, this is a story about a kid who was sent away from home, grew up somewhere else entirely, and has to figure out who he is supposed to be when he finally goes back. That is really the emotional engine here. Adam spent about 15 years on Earth, cut off from Eternia, and living an ordinary life. So when the movie starts pulling him back toward his real identity, there is an actual sense of loss underneath it, not just spectacle. Let's start with Adam himself, because the whole story runs through him. Nicholas Galitzine plays Prince Adam, who becomes He-Man once he picks up the sword and steps into his purpose. Galitzine is mostly known for romance and drama roles, so this is a bit of a swing for him physically. But the role is not just about the transformation. A lot of the movie sits with Adam before he becomes He-Man, when he is just a guy figuring out his place in the world. Teela is played by Camila Mendes, and she's not just a side character here. She is Eternia's warrior, trained under man-at-arms, and she is someone Adam has history with going back to childhood. The film spends time on that connection early on, showing a younger version of both of them, before jumping ahead to where they are now. That groundwork matters later, once Adam comes back as a changed person. Idris Elba plays Duncan, better known as Man-at-Arms. He is Eternia's weapons expert and military mind, the guy who trained Teela and who ends up becoming something like a mentor to Adam as well. Elba brings a steadiness to the role, the kind of presence that holds a scene together without needing to raise his voice. He is less flash and more backbone. Then there is Skeletor, played by Jared Leto. Before he was Skeletor, he was Keldor, which the film uses to give the villain an actual backstory, instead of just presenting him as evil from the start. Jared lanes into the theatrics you'd expect, but there is a wounded quality underneath it too. He is not just here to look scary, he is someone who lost something, and decided the only way forward was to take Eternia apart. Standing next to Skeletor is Evil-Lyn, played by Alison Brie. Her real name in this version is Evelyn Powers, which is a nice touch, giving her a life and identity outside of just being the villain's right hand. Alison plays the role with more calculation than menace, someone who is smart enough to be dangerous without needing to shout about it. Morna Baccarin plays the Sorceress, who guards Castle Grayskull and holds a lot of the mythology the story is built on. She is the one who sends young Adam away from Eternia in the first place, and her powers only work within the castle walls, which the film uses as an actual limitation rather than just a rule nobody mentions again. She is less warrior, more guide, someone steering events from just behind the scenes. Adam's parents also get some real space in this one. James Purefoy plays King Randor, ruler of Eternia and Adam's father, carrying the weight of a kingdom that's been suffering while his son was away. Charlotte Riley plays Queen Marlena, who actually came from Earth herself years earlier. That detail gives her character an interesting bridge between the two worlds Adam is caught between, and it adds a layer to why Adam ended up on Earth to begin with. Johannes Hawker Johannessen plays Fisto, whose real name is Malcolm. He is a fighter who backs up the group in the later battles, and the film treats him as part of the found family around Adam, rather than just a name that fans would recognize from the toy line. He is there to fight, but he is also there to belong. Kristen Wiig voices Roboto, a robotic warrior who adds a lighter tone to some of the tenser scenes. It is a smaller role in terms of screen presence, but voice work like this tends to shape how a character lands more than people expect. Wiig brings some warmth to a character that could have easily just been a walking sound effect. There is a rotating cast of other Eternian fighters too. John Zhuzhang plays Ram Man, known mostly for brute strength. Hafthor Julius Björnsson, who you might recognize from other big physical roles, plays a goat man type figure who adds to Eternia's ranks. Kojo Ata plays Triclops, and Sam C. Wilson plays Trap Jaw, one of Skeletor's enforcers. None of them get huge amounts of screen time individually, but together they fill out the world, so Eternia feels populated rather than empty. Dolph Lundgren, the actor who played He-Man back in 1987, shows up in this movie too, but not as a legacy version of the character. He plays a small role credited as Macho Man, a guy Adam runs into at a gym on Earth before any of the Eternia stuff kicks in. Adam asks him for advice, not realizing who he's really talking to, and the man tells him something about not worrying so much about what's in front of him. It's a short moment, but it carries some real weight if you know the history. The actor who once wore the He-Man costume is standing across from the actor about to become him, and the movie doesn't make a big deal out of it. Lundgren even signs off with the same 2 words that his version of the character used to say, "Good journey," a small nod that plenty of longtime fans will catch and plenty of newer viewers will just take as a nice line. As for the story itself, without giving away where it ends up, it follows Adam finding his way back to Eternia, reconnecting with people like Teela and Duncan, and slowly accepting what it means to actually be He-Man instead of just having the title handed to him. Skeletor and Evil-Lyn push things toward conflict, but the movie keeps circling back to something simpler than a war for a kingdom. It is about a kid who left, and what it costs to come back home. That is really the through line across this whole cast, from the king and queen down to a bodybuilder at a gym who used to wear the cape himself. Everyone in this story is dealing with some version of the same question: what do you do with who you were, once you're finally in a position to become who you're supposed to be?